Hey, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness. Today we're playing Batman Arkham City for the PlayStation 3. Also available on the Xbox 360 and the PC. If you enjoy playing PC games, I highly recommend getting the PC version because that actually supports the NVIDIA physics effects, which aren't like in the console versions. It's nothing major, but you get a lot more volumetric fog and particles and stuff like that floating in the air, like glass particles, little objects that shatter and stuff. It's nothing major. No matter what system you get it on, it's going to be a great experience. So we'll start a new game and I'll try to make this as spoiler free as possible. Pretty much anything you're going to see on here is basically going to be whatever you saw on a commercial. Matter of fact, a commercial probably would have shown more. If you look at Batman, even though I'm going to turn up the brightness a little bit because the recorder does record dark and it's not going to be as evident, but his suit's more black. He was pretty much gray in the last one, but the cowl and the bat symbol and stuff are a darker color. But since I'm turning up the brightness, because usually when I record these games and think they look fine once I put them in the computer, a lot of times I have to turn up the brightness in post, and at least to me it never looks like the way the game looks, unfortunately. So even though I'm showing you gameplay, keep in mind that there's gonna be some downgrading quality, not only from YouTube, because YouTube downgrades stuff, but with the post-processing and all that shit and transferring the file. Every time you do something with the video file, it's going to downgrade just slightly, so you're not going to really experience what the game looks like until you actually play it. When you see the PS3 also, since I have to record with component cables, the sides are actually partitioned even though it's a widescreen. It's because I only can record in 720p with component cables, so it's not like the Xbox or the PS4 where I can use HDMI. For some reason, the people at Sony opted to not have was it the HDCP lock or whatever the fuck it's called that blocks like the HDMI thing. So you actually have to use like an adapter for component cables, and I know there's like a way to get around it, but I just don't think it's worth the investment. I have another recorder that uses component cables that doesn't really have that issue, but I'd have to hook up another computer in here, and I just don't have the room right now, unfortunately, so you'll have to forgive me. Now, I know you guys want to see this menu screen really bad, so here's character trophies. I didn't show you this in the last game. I can't remember if they're in there. That's Catwoman from the animated series. They added textures to her that weren't in the animated series. Excuse me. But it looks pretty cool. It has a cell shaded look. If you see the actual model overlap with another part of the model, you'll see like a black line appears, which is kind of cool because it looks like it's running on a totally different engine. It's sort of subtle. I honestly don't know how to unlock most of this stuff, but I can unlock quite a few parts of it. We're gonna start a new game. So pretty much you're basically gonna see hold on, this will probably help you hear me better. You're pretty much going to see like a larger version of the world of Arkham Asylum on here, which isn't a good representation for a game, but I only have a limited amount of time to show you, and I don't want to show you the game later on, but you'll get a good idea. I've said in the past to try to get a new version of this. That's the safest way to do it, because you especially at least want the Catwoman content, because that overlaps with Batman stories. Harley Quinn's Revenge isn't really a deal breaker, because that's like a pseudo sequel, but I feel like the Catwoman missions are sort of essential to the Arkham Asylum experience during the days of like putting in passes to get the full game. The Catwoman content was part of it. Like the Catwoman content, you can tell, was always intended to originally be part of the game. It made me sad that she wasn't part of Arkham Origins. She's in Blackgate, but not as a playable character as far as I know. I haven't finished that one yet. That's the handheld version, and then they later came out with the HD version. If you're wondering what that sound is, my zoo, also known as my apartment, my cat has this little ball thing that she decided to play with when I made a video. She's being super sloppy with it. It's like this plastic fucking ring with a plastic ping ball on it, and it's obnoxiously loud, especially when you're trying to record a video. Her controls are essentially the same as Batman's, but she's a little bit faster. I don't think she can take hits as well as Batman, because obviously she's not as armored, but she's a little bit more agile. And again, if you played Sleeping Dogs or some of the later Assassin's Creed games, like Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 3, I imagine Assassin's Creed Rogue, because it just looks like a follow-up to Black Flag. Assassin's Creed Unity is a little bit different, just because there's so many characters on the screen. Assassin's Creed Unity usually expects you to run away most of the time, or try to be stealthful.
I don't think so.
Get your filthy paws off that now.
So if you didn't put in the code for Catwoman's adventures, you wouldn't see any of this.
Wake up, Mr. Wayne.
You'd start out here.
Much to discuss.
So essentially, Arkham City is basically, they took the shitty old slums of like old Gotham and turned it into a huge prison, so half of the city's dilapidated. When you go and play Arkham Origins, when you play Arkham Origins, I had the cat was messing with something she wasn't supposed to. When you play Arkham Origins or whatever, you'll see old Gotham and whatever, and it's not as dilapidated. Everything still looks run down because it's the Arkham universe, and that's just part of the aesthetic. But yeah, it looks better than it did. Here we are playing Bruce Wayne. I will say that the Xbox 360 version has slightly better textures, but it's not a deal breaker. You're not missing out on any version that you play of this game. You gotta wobble the chair back and forth till you fall out of it.
What the hell are you doing? Did you think we wouldn't hear you?
During these segments where Bruce Wayne's kicking people's asses, I'm always like, why doesn't this ever come to intention that he's like one of the better fighters? Nobody else is really putting up a decent fight.
You're gonna be my bitch, Wayne. On the ground.
I think the lighting effects and stuff are a little bit better, and the detail to the environment seems to be a bit more than, say, Arkham Asylum, especially since you're in a larger area. This still kind of looks like Arkham Asylum, which I think is a good idea aesthetically to kind of start out like that, because it kind of makes you feel like you're playing like in the same claustrophobic, somewhat claustrophobic environment. There are open parts of Arkham Asylum, but I like how it kind of opens up, basically telling you the world's your oyster, and showing you how large the world is, which you aren't really used to being able to go every single area that you want to, for the most part, in Arkham Asylum. Although it's a lot like Arkham Asylum, where you can't access certain areas that usually go into like an interior unless you have like a specific gadget. But I mean, for the most part, you could go anywhere you want on the outside of the city.
Bruce Wayne? Great. There I was reporting on your crummy press conference, and now here we both are.
Now, I was
guess
somewhat
that'll teach you
wrong
to get
about
involved in politics,
the voucher
won't
code. I have
Listen to me
seen
carefully. When they
Game of
open
the
the
Year
door,
editions of
do
Arkham City
not
for the
panic.
PS3
Stay close to
that
me.
said like Harley's
You think
Quinn
I'm taking
Revenge
advice
as part
from
of the
some guy who's
voucher
never even
code.
been in a fight?
So
Stay calm.
if I saw a
They're
used
trying to
version
scare
of that,
us.
I definitely wouldn't get it. The thing about GameStop is sometimes they put your games in different cases than what they actually came into, or what actually the people trade them in from. So you might get a different disc than what the actual case said it was. Like sometimes you might get a Game of the Year edition in a standard case, so you got to be careful. Xbox 360 is going to be easier to tell because the discs are, if it's the Game of the Year edition with all the DLC, it's going to be 2 discs. So that's a good way to tell. It's harder to tell with the PlayStation. I can tell you by the packaging for sure if you get the version that says it comes with Batman Year 1, which the voucher would be expired by now. I think it's expired like a year or so ago.
On your feet, Ryder. I said get up.
Look who it is. Welcome to hell, Brucey.
Sorry for saying I was doing something else again. I know, and it's perfect time to do a video. But anyway, just if you see it new, get the version that says Batman Arkham Game of the Year edition, Arkham City Game of the Year edition with the Batman Year 1, even though you won't be able to watch Year 1. That's the one that for sure has all the online DLC content. Unfortunately, I don't think the disc itself actually notifies it, but there's also a version of the Game of the Year edition, like I said, that has a Harley Quinn voucher. So it's harder to tell which version you're getting with the PS3.
Let's just call this.
So if you're getting on the PS3, I would definitely try to get a new copy. Not so much for the Harley Quinn content, but for the Catwoman content. Harley Quinn's bonus. I think Catwoman's essential. Not only do you get to see the perspective from Catwoman's side, even though there's not a whole lot of it, I think it still matters, especially one particular part, but she also has her own individual Riddler puzzles and stuff like that. And there's bonus missions and stuff that are optional and stuff that she has. So there's quite a bit of chunk of game that you're missing out on. That was I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually on the disc and it's just opened up with the code on the non-Game of the Year edition. Plus, with the Game of the Year edition, you're getting the Nightwing and Robin bonus training room levels. Depending on which version of literature you read, sometimes the Penguin's like a really bad villain. Sometimes he's just the entrepreneur, although a slightly sleazy one. But here he just seems to be like a straight up like gangster, like thug kind of character. He's been portrayed differently in a lot of different ways.
Was getting yourself arrested a part of your plan all along?
Not exactly. Although I did get some one-on-one time with Hugo Strange.
And how was that?
Not good.
I like in the Arkham universe that after they kind of established like pretty much all the popular characters for the most part in Arkham Asylum, they took a risk and had some less familiar characters, and they even do that more so with Arkham Origins. So I think that's pretty cool. So everybody knows who the Joker, the Riddler, and Killer Croc is. Some people know. There's still some popular characters in here, but a lot of the side missions and stuff sometimes have characters you might not be familiar with. I would highly recommend getting a strategy guide for this game unless you want to spend a lifetime trying to figure out all the puzzles, but I think that even with a strategy guide, just finding where all the puzzles are would take a considerable amount of time. I mean, this game, I'm not joking, it doesn't seem like it at first until you start playing the game after you finish it, or even while you're playing it a little bit, but you don't have all your gadgets when you first start playing. As you gradually get them and learn more techniques, this game kind of eases you into the more complexities of the game. But when you finally play the game again and you have all your gadgets with you and you can pretty much go anywhere you want, like, this game has like almost like a GTA amount of like extra content. Like, this game definitely doesn't need multiplayer for you to feel like you're getting your bang for the buck, and I imagine Arkham Knight's gonna probably end up doing the same thing, especially since Rocksteady's the one that did it. Arkham Origins, even though a lot of people dislike it, I have no idea why, because it doesn't really take away from the game. It just doesn't do as much new as this did from Arkham Asylum, but I mean, how much do you expect this game to do that's like new? I mean, this game's pretty much great as it is now, and Arkham Origins just pretty much followed it up. Just people expect more, but I think after all the gameplay and everything was established in this, I think the only thing really left to do was story. Was like to add like an interesting story and whatnot. You can glide in this too, which you can't do. You can glide a little bit better in Origins, because he has like this seems like some of the buildings are a little bit higher, and he has like this supercharged he has a supercharged grappling hook move that makes him go faster and then able to like basically catapult them up higher in the air, so you can usually get further. I imagine Arkham Origins is also a hard game because it takes place before even Arkham Asylum, so he has to be able to have gadgets that look like they're somewhat older versions. He's not as advanced as he was in these games, at least storyline wise, so he shouldn't have all the abilities that he has in this game. Of course they kind of fudge that, and he does end up getting all these cool things or different variations of things that he had in this game. They kind of work their way around it, but I mean, gameplay wise it's a natural thing. But out of all three Batman games, I feel like this is my favorite and a lot of other people's favorite. There's just a lot going on. I do miss having the secondary character like Catwoman not being in Origins. It's a very un-Batman thing to do, to walk in the front door, but we're doing it here live. Not live, you're not seeing this live. You can pretend it's live if it makes it more exciting for you. But with the Batmobile, the streets widening up, and the buildings look significantly taller, I think there's going to be a lot more layers and gameplay than I guess there was in Origins, which I guess people are missing. But I like Origins just fine. I mean, it felt like it was part of this series. I have a feeling you guys better get used to the Origins storyline, because I think the series is either going to go two ways. It's either going to start doing the Justice League crap, which I can't stand. I kind of feel like in the Arkham universe, like, Batman should be Batman and Superman should be in his own universe, but there's references in this series to Metropolis, which is where Superman lives, so I have a feeling that's inevitable, but I have a feeling after Arkham Knight, since that's supposed to be the last chronological game in the series. According to the developers, maybe they'll change their mind. It's the last one that Rocksteady says they're working on, but anything can happen. But I have a feeling the series will continue in the Origins universe after Knight. Which could be good, because there's, I mean, sometimes origin stories are cool. And I did like how Origins introduced characters for the first time and seeing Batman's reactions to them. Most of the characters in this game are thugs and stuff Batman already seen before and knows about. Pretty much has fought them before at some point. It's kind of weird because Origins only takes place like 10 or 15 years before Arkham Asylum, so apparently a lot of shit happened in a short amount of time. That's the only inconsistency I really see with the Arkham games, is like how much stuff happened in a short amount of time. Like,
Gotta get away! Stop him!
There's a lot of stuff that supposedly already occurred in this universe that took like years for the comic book lore to establish.
Overruled.
If you're not familiar with the voice, Troy Baker does the voice of Two-Face, who actually does the voice of
Which one lets me out of here
the Joker in Origins, because he's like a younger Joker or whatever. And
Time to die.
Mark Hamill does the voice of the Joker in this.
execution.
Since it's Origins, they even got different actors to make the people sound younger, even though
No
it's
gun
only
harm?
like a 10-year, 15-year
This is gonna
time
hurt.
difference. I'm thinking 10 years is probably more accurate, but I can't remember exactly.
And I thought it was cats who have
When you
9
start the
lives.
game, it doesn't say 10 years ago or anything like that. I had to read it through like an article or whatever, maybe on the back of the box. I read it
How's it
somewhere how
hanging,
long it, or how many years in the past it took place
Come
before.
to Kitty. Anyone ever
We'll
tell you?
skip this.
I need to locate where the bullet entered the court and where it impacted.
Batman's detective stuff is a little bit more complicated, and
Cut me down. Fight us like a man.
his detective skills are a little bit more advanced in Origins for whatever reason, but it's fine. I really don't mind like that inconsistency with like the story or whatever, if it makes the gameplay more fun, as long as the actual storyline stays like fresh and interesting. I don't care if maybe he has better technology,
The bullet entered.
because honestly, if
Now where did it
you're
hit?
taking away things from the game, it's gonna feel like a step backward instead of a step forward. So you have to find creative ways to get around that, and I think
The
Origins did a
trajectory the
pretty
bullet
good
traveled
job.
will lead me to the shooter.
I mean, if you're playing a comic book game, I imagine you're already using the suspension of disbelief somewhat anyway, so like odd things like him having better technology in Origins, I imagine you can use your imagination enough where you can get over that.
Protocol 10 will commence in 10 hours.
Still didn't seen better days. I'm gonna stop here. I think you guys got a good idea of what this game's like. I like breaking windows. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'll do it one more time. But if you like this video, feel free to thumbs up it, and yeah, like, feel free to leave a comment, positive or negative. If you choose to leave a negative comment, please don't be a dick, and please be respectful to me and other people who comment on my channel. And if you, for whatever reason, haven't decided to subscribe yet, and you're debating for whatever reason, feel free to subscribe. But I'm sure you've already made up your mind on that, whether you like the videos or not. But hell, maybe you'll find a better one. I don't know. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit spacey. This spring fever is like freaking having the fucking flu. Like, my head is so stuffy and shit. But it's going to be something I'm going to have to deal with the next few months, so I apologize. I'm doing the best I can. It's like trying to talk, juggle, and playing a video game at the same time. It's a little bit hard. But thank you guys so much, and I will talk to you on the next video. I definitely can't recommend this series enough. Like I said in the Arkham Asylum video, I recommend playing these games in the order that they were released. I think you get more story-wise out of it and gameplay-wise, because when you play this game, it feels a little bit, it feels a little familiar, where it just feels like a natural progression. I don't think I paid attention to it before, but it looks like a Max Shrek cat from Batman Returns, which is kind of cool. Huh. You know, I've beaten this game 2 times, and I don't think I've ever seen that before. I don't think I don't even know if Max Shrek is even part of the actual comic book universe or whatever, but that's what it looks like. Before I end this video, I want to see what the store's called. Maybe it's on the other side. If I see the name Shrek, I'm gonna have like a fucking fangasm. I'm not exactly sure what that is or what to expect from it, but I want to see it. It looks like it might just be a framing thing, but it looks like the cat from Batman Returns at Shrek's. And that was actually a homage to the movie Nosferatu, which was like a almost like a off-brand Dracula. I don't know how the movie worked, where they couldn't, I guess they couldn't call it Dracula because maybe there was already a Dracula movie and it was copyrighted or whatever. But the person who played Count Orlok, which was their version of Dracula, was played by an actor named Max Shrek. So there's your trivia for you. And Tim Burton was obviously a fan of that film. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you on the next video. Take care. Bye.